I'm Manny.
I'm Noah.
This is Devin.
And this is No Such Thing, the show where we settle our dumb arguments and yours by actually doing the research. This week, are we all clones?
There's no such thing. No such thing. No such thing. No such thing. No such thing.
All right, what's up, Thingers? This week we've got a special episode. We teamed up with Chelsey Weber-Smith to talk about the popularity of celebrity clone conspiracies. Chelsey's show, American Hysteria, tackles all sorts of wild subjects, hoaxes, moral panics, and just odd misunderstandings. Today we'll hear about a clone whistleblower and talk to a biosciences expert to find out just how feasible human cloning actually is. All right, Manny, to start, want to run us through a few clone theories you've come across yourself?
Yeah, sure. I mean, essentially, pretty much every celebrity, when they lose a little bit of weight, there's a new conspiracy about them being a clone. So all of the kind of classic ones, you've got Britney Spears, clone conspiracies. You've got Jennifer Lopez, Jay-Z. One of my favorites, Gucci Mane, the rapper. He went to jail. When he was released, he obviously was in much better shape, a lot less body fat percentage, you might say. And immediately people were like, wow, they cloned him while he was in there. And then they've got this new, better looking Gucci Mane. So I thought that was funny.
I remember with that one too, part of it too is, he came out, he had this new outlook on life.
Yes.
It was like the classic, I'm a bit more reformed now.
Yeah.
He seemed a little bit more chill in interviews, and they're like, that's not.
Yeah,
That's not
it
him,
can't be
man. I know and
him.
love.
Which, by the way, is a very common thing to happen when you're released from prison. Just have a different outlook on life, to weigh a little bit less.
Especially for the first, couple weeks,
Yeah.
at least.
It was entertaining to me. I kind of thought it was funny. I enjoyed the Gucci clone. I ain't gonna sit here in front.
Now, I think one of the more recent famous ones was Jamie Foxx.
Yes.
He got sick, I think, and lost a bunch of weight. And I don't know, people were really crazy about that one.
The clone shit threw me.
Yes.
When they said I was a clone, that made me flip in the hospital. That's it. These motherfuckers are trying to clone me. I didn't have a stroke. So I'm sitting in the hospital bed like these bitch ass. And then I saw me walk into my room. But I'm white.
Well, especially because we didn't see him for a while.
Yes, he
And that's
disappeared.
always, I feel like a key part of this cloning stuff that comes up over and over again. It's like if you don't see a public person in person for a bit, they think that's when the cloning stuff is happening.
Yes. I guess
makes
it's a
sense,
very
yeah.
long process, according to the conspiracies.
And then you didn't mention one of my favorite new ones, because this is, I feel like a lot of these are kind of a little bit more dark web. But the one that I've seen that I've heard normal people talking about is the Melania clone. Have you heard about this, Chelsey?
Yeah, I've definitely heard about this one. I don't know a ton about it, but I feel like that one is one where I'm like, maybe, maybe this could be this. She's got a clone vibe about her some of the time.
It's who am I to judge? Yeah, I definitely remember with that, people would do it, side-by-side videos and being like, her nose looks totally different here, or her hand's doing this thing.
Yeah.
It's someone like you're people that I would think are normal-minded people.
Yeah, not conspiracy people.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's clones, but sometimes it's body doubles. So I think that was more the that they were she didn't want to participate in these events. And so they got an actress, I guess.
Yeah, they get lookalikes.
Speculation that Melania sometimes sends a body double to make official appearances with her husband first surfaced in 2017. The First Lady's office has previously called the fake Melania story ridiculous.
It's funny because it's she's not really doing anything. It's it's just standing there, and they're I can tell by the way that the person said that is not Melania. This is some other thing.
And who hasn't been mentioned yet is Avril Lavigne.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was a really popular one for a while. She was replaced by, I think, someone named Melissa. I like that one because there was a whole backstory to the clone. Or maybe it wasn't a clone. This is what you're saying. There's a lot of body double clone crossover. And I think
replacements.
And another one I'm thinking of too is, and this is clone body double. I can't quite remember, but the one where Taylor Swift is the same person or was cloned from Anton LaVey, the famous Satanist, either daughter or someone that ran the Church of Satan. There's like a picture side by side that everyone should go and see. And it's like this woman from like the Satanic Panic era, like, she looks very witchy. And then it shows like side by side, and it is compelling. They do look very similar.
Yeah, I got it now. Wow.
Right?
Actually, yeah, we'll make a video and we'll show this, but yeah,
please.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Definitely some shared DNA.
Yeah.
To say the least.
That is kind of nuts.
The blonde hair.
Yeah, the eyebrows and the nose. All right,
Yeah.
I'm convinced. I've seen enough.
Well, if you throw some Satanism in there, things are just going to really pop
Exactly.
the fuck off. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm excited to learn a little bit about in this episode is like, I've heard these theories my whole life. No one has ever been like, and this is why they're a clone.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I can't wait to hear some of this.
Funny you mentioned that.
So why don't we take this, and Devin's done some research into kind of the ins and outs of this whole world.
Yeah, the cloning industry.
Yeah, why don't you take us there?
So, celebrity cloning really, at least the conversation around it really hit its peak in 2016. But a few years before that, we had our first, let's call him cloning whistleblower. All right. It's this guy named Donald Marshall. He's known on the dark web as the guy really bringing, let's say, eyeballs and attention to this issue of cloning because he, in fact, is a clone himself.
Oh, wow.
That's fun.
A man on the inside.
A man on the inside. So they're not happy that he's talking about this stuff.
It's brave.
As we'll find out. So in 2011, Donald wrote a Facebook post that really sort of blew up in these circles where he walks through some of the mechanics of the cloning world and what's happening. So let me read some of it, then I want to play a bit of an interview that he did. So in 2011, he writes, "This is no hoax. This is no joke. My name is Donald Marshall. I have been cloned by a large secretive cult known as the Freemasons and the Vril Society and Scientologists together.
Oh, they collabed.
Okay.
And this is called the Illuminati.
Oh, yeah, heard of
I've
it.
never heard of it.
They make replicated bodies of people to victimize in terrible ways. They clone children for men with underdeveloped penises to have sex with.
Whoa.
Some very famous and politically powerful people all getting together for a disgusting time. Most of the G20 gather there to discuss worldly matters and watch gruesome things done to innocent people for sport. I have seen this firsthand and will tell all as it must be stopped."
What year was this?
This was in 2011.
Wow.
Wow.
It's so funny with like the details of the conspiracy theory. Most of the G20, like some of them were not invited.
Not everyone.
Some opted out, yeah.
Not everyone is showing up, but most of the G20. And we're going to get some more specific names. So that was 2011.
Okay.
He starts to make the rounds. He starts appearing on a couple podcasts. You know, this is around, you got to think about, shortly after this, we're getting Pizzagate. We're getting a lot of these conversations around people in politics, especially being tied to pedophilia. So a lot of this comes up in Donald's story. So here's him on a conspiracy podcast in 2013.
This is Donald Marshall. Welcome to the program.
Hello, thanks.
Why don't you tell us just a little bit of background about yourself for those who are unaware?
First, I wanted to tell you about the cloning stuff, okay? Now, human cloning, I have to tell you, it's been done since at the end of World War II, okay? I'll tell you how they got it and the whole shebang, like 33rd degree Freemason knowledge. I'm probably going to die for this somewhere along the lines.
It's me when I do a hot
not
take.
good.
They're going to skip over this.
Picture this, a memory request about everything. Couldn't remember anything. I'm still getting side effects from this. has memory repressed about the cloning stuff until I was 30 years old. They call it the awakening when they give you back the memories. Turns out they had me there since I was 5 years old, okay? And my family is there, my family members and everything, and they said they're not going to lie on a lie detector test about it. It's pretty big. Like, they were going to kill me, they said. Thing is, the way that this cloning works, okay, there's two different kinds of cloning, and it confuses people. Now, there's replication cloning, where it comes up as a baby, right? Put the cells in, make the same person as a baby. Well, there's duplication cloning as well, where they grow you in a big, thick tank full of water. This is another crazy aspect of it. Okay. The thing is, with all the songs that I made at this place, and they were bringing me back every single night.
Oh, can you pause this
sing a
real quick?
song.
Okay, so some context here. He talks about basically the way, a lot of people are tortured and at this place and taken advantage sexually. The thing that kind of saved him was his music ability. So he would sing a lot and write songs, and that he would entertain the people in the cloning facility, which is why he was spared from the worst of it. So that's some context going into this clip here.
This is another crazy aspect of it. Okay. The thing is, with all the songs that I made at this place, and they were bringing me back every single night and saying, sing a song or we're going to torture you. Next night, sing a song, we're going to torture you. Sometimes I couldn't think of anything, and they would just like stab me and watch me bleed there. And they're all watching like it's a bizarre Faces of Death thing. And different people want to know what it's like to stab someone, so they send them out to stab me while I'm on drugs so I won't hit them or something. It's like that. It's pretty sick. And, well, I have to tell you, Queen Elizabeth is there.
Of course.
Stephen Harper, Canadian Prime Minister. Obama is there. Vladimir Putin is there. The Pope is even
All the
there.
big boys.
All kinds of heads of different factions of different things. The head of the Mexican drug cartel is there. Mafia in Italy is there. Man,
The
everybody
Italian
is
mafia.
there. It's like the rich guy's crazy
They
club
like sell
that'll
milk
never
now.
get caught. And you have to be real privileged to go there. Well, I don't want to go there, and I'm not privileged there. I'm pretty low on the totem pole there, actually, probably the lowest. So anyway, they all threatened me never to talk about it, and along as I've been divulging this stuff on Facebook, they've been bringing me there and threatening me and stuff, and then asking me not to mention them specifically, what they've done there and stuff, and panicking, really.
Okay. First thing I want to mention that I'm glad Donald brought up is kind of the baby clones versus the replication
Important,
clones,
yeah.
because
That
this was
confuses
always
me.
stopping me because, I was looking into the history and there's, people talk about Paul McCartney being cloned. It's like, well, that's great, but I mean, did they know when he was a baby in 1940 in Liverpool, we're going to need a second one of these lads, and let's get this one cooking so then when we're ready, we can just,
Ready to
swap them out.
Yeah.
So this is helpful that there's a way to, do a full body clone in a thick tank of water to match, whenever you need it. It does help
That was illuminating.
to understand their theories.
It does help.
Because that was the one I was totally on board, but that was the one thing that always kind of got in the way of me accepting these.
But now that you know that, now you accept it.
This checks out. Yeah.
I think this would be a kind of good moment to orient ourselves in this conspiracy era really quick, because I think we know, we talk about conspiracy theories all the time in the Trump era, but I was a conspiracy theorist during the late Bush, early Obama era. And don't worry, it didn't get too hairy or anything like that. But, my dad was like a prepper, kind of like an Illuminati guy. So I knew a lot about it, but it's just like, the clones, it's related to the reptilians. You guys remember that?
Of course.
Right?
Yes,
They're
yeah.
like those videos of Obama blinking sideways.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Those were simpler times.
They were simpler times, and it was all linked to the Illuminati, but it just wasn't so overtly racist and so overtly anti-Semitic as it would become, or it was, but you had to dig really deep until you got to that shit.
Yeah, it was so niche. It didn't feel as bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely remember all of the like Jay-Z's like Rockefeller hand signal with this triangle, and like at a certain point there was the conspiracy theory snowballed to the extent where he like made a song about, he like denied the claims in a song.
Conspiracy theorists screaming Illuminati. They can't believe this much skill is in the human body. He's 6'2", how the fuck he fit in the new Bugatti? Ah, fuck it, you got me.
But that only made people believe it more.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's what you would say if you wanted us to believe.
Exactly what you would say.
I thought Donald's clip there was interesting about how he's kind of divulging all of this information, secret information, and the most powerful people in the world are just kind of like, please don't say this. Like instead of just
texting him,
killing
like,
him.
hey,
Yeah, if like
chill,
according to his
bro.
conspiracy, it's like, why would they be so allowing?
Yeah, and looking into this, he does is a major contradiction in his, quote unquote reporting is that he says, yeah, these are the most powerful people. They do all these horrible things to everyone, but somehow they're keeping him alive and letting him talk about this stuff. Maybe because he's a clone himself. He said he was actually cloned from when babies are circumcised and it, the tissue at the hospital that's discarded. He said he's a clone from that tissue. Himself. So I don't know why he gets a pass, despite being pretty loud online about what's happening behind closed doors. But I want to we talked about Britney Spears already. Donald says he actually has a connection to Britney Spears.
Okay.
Oh, of course.
And her clones. So Britney Spears, right before she drops Baby One More Time, in 98, allegedly, she got into a really bad car crash with Justin Timberlake. And that is the moment in which she was cloned. And in Donald's telling, most of these celebrities who have clones, it's not just one clone. You got to have a few backups. So there's 5 or 6 or 7 clones. Oh. And Donald's telling, like, the reason why Britney has had so many ups and downs in her career is because these are different clones. These are actually different people that you're seeing. Some are a little bit more manic than others. But one of the clones in 2009 came to Donald and say, hey, I need your help, because remember, he's musically talented.
And this is in the clone camp? Or where
I'm assuming it's in a clone camp.
Clone camp.
We'll check in with Donald for some details.
We'll get some fact checking on this from Donald. And talks to her. And in that year, Britney Spears releases a song called Break the Ice.
Called I'm a Clone.
Which there's some clues in which, there's, if you listen to the lyrics, there's some clues there about cloning that she sneaks in to try to let the world know. And this is an interesting tidbit here. The music video, it's an animated video, and in the video, Britney Spears goes to a clone lab where there's all these clones and blows it up.
Oh wow. Clones of her.
Just clones of her.
They're just like in tanks.
Clones lab. Yeah.
Okay,
they're in the tanks that Donald talks about, filled with water, developing.
I see.
Can you imagine how he felt when he saw that video?
Yeah.
Like, I've been telling everybody, look.
Holy shit.
It's happening.
Well, conspiracy theorists love the idea that the masterminds are leaving behind clues for you to follow along.
Yeah, there's a great stand-up bit about that.
Oh, yeah, Nick Mullen.
But that was always so funny to me, because it's like, what do you think happened, right? Like, the fucking CIA was like, okay, plan's ready to go. Ready to blow up the World Trade Center. There's only one step left. The clues. Yep. Yeah, it's clue time. It's time to get the clues out there.
We wouldn't have gotten away with it. So I was curious, a lot of this is over 10 years old now from Donald, so I was curious if he's still posting and talking about this stuff today. He is. His Facebook is very active. to the point where obviously we're recording this just a few days after finding out that Rob Reiner was killed along with his wife, and the leading suspect who are in the cops right now is their son. And Donald posted just last night they went to the cloning center regularly. It's possible their son regained his memory about cloning after age 30 spontaneously, or they allowed him to remember and he got revenge for mistreatment there. Ooh. So this is where we have this sort of like, it's funny, we're having a good time, and then real people's lives are, being affected, and he's sort of swooping in here and sort of like take advantage of the situation. And claiming that actually they kind of deserved it because of what they did to him. Mm-hmm. So this is where the conspiracy theories start to get a little icky for me.
Yeah, not as fun. Chelsey, I'm curious how feel like this echoes a lot of kind of alien abduction sorts of theories. I'm sure in your work you've found tons of things like this. How does this kind of stack up generally?
Yeah, I mean, God, it's like there's so many things popping into my head as we're going along. One of them would be the history of alien abductions and how people go to therapists to recover memories of their alien abduction, right? So there's this memory thing, which is also satanic panic stuff, where it's like suddenly you recover this memory of being a child in a satanic cult that you had completely repressed. So it's like this like memory coming back suddenly is a big part of conspiracy theory. And then like it makes me think of like MK Ultra, right? Where there's like this government body controlling the most famous and powerful people for, name your reason, right? And I also, I go back to, like I said, the reptilians, this like body swapping thing has been around a long time and continues to be around. And then I can look at someone like Tila Tequila. Do you guys remember Tila Tequila?
Extremely familiar.
Yes.
Huge fan.
Yeah, I mean, I loved her on A Shot at Love. I really loved that show. It was like the bisexual reality story. Like men and women vying for her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great show when I was 13.
Great thing to revisit, everyone.
Last season, Tila Tequila began her quest for love.
I'm a bisexual.
And after meeting 16 hot lesbians and 16 straight guys, she found the one.
She went down the Illuminati pipe like really hard, and I tracked that because of course it was fascinating to me. And she got into MK Ultra. She said that she was MK Ultra'd. She said she was cloned at one point, which is why I think it's relevant. But she did that classic like pipeline into literally becoming a Nazi. You guys know this?
It's interesting.
Right. So she's kind of a great like case of how you can start with these kinds of silly things. I mean, we know this now. We know the like algorithm pushes us toward extremism, but things were like, we didn't have the same types of algorithms then. So it is more self-propelled, I think. And you could just start with like, maybe all the powerful people are like reptiles, like, or there are aliens. They are inhuman looking to me. So let's like start from there. And then eventually you're like in a Nazi uniform taking a photo shoot. It can happen.
That's wild. Yeah, the reptilian thing is coming up a lot with the clone stuff, looking into a lot of these people that they're claiming are clones. There's, random videos where the person blinks in a certain way and they're like, oh, they're glitching out. One of the people who comes up time and time again with this stuff is Eminem. He's been famous for a long time now. Part of the conspiracy is like people say, oh, his voice has actually changed over his career. Like it doesn't sound early. Slim Shady doesn't sound the same as it does
older
now.
Than he used to. Weird.
Also, just people's voices change over time.
He sounds older.
He's aging every day.
He sounds about 20 years older than he used to.
Than he did about 20 years ago.
Interesting.
And then people will point to videos like this. So this is an interview between Eminem and Snoop Dogg.
Have y'all shot a video together before?
Nope. We was in a movie together, and the video what was it? The Dre video. I'm representing for the gangsters. Wasn't you on the beach running on that video?
Was I in that video?
Yeah, you was running on the beach. That was like your debut album. I was? You was running on the beach
Why
with
the
no
fuck do I
clothes
not
on.
remember?
You was running on the beach with damn near no clothes on.
What
That's
the
when
fuck?
You was,
Yo, you gotta show me that shit,
yo,
because
you
I
was
don't
Slim
remember.
Shady, cuz. You was like crazy
Right.
back then. Like real crazy. You don't remember that? Cuz you was running on the beach, cuz, in the video.
What? I don't even. What?
It was a bunch of girls around you, and all of a sudden.
Signed Eminem, he's triple platinum, doing 50 awards.
Oh, yeah, okay. Now I remember.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
So people are pointing to this video as, oh, obviously he doesn't remember because that a clone.
Yeah, it wasn't him.
It wasn't him. So
That's incredible.
So, even small moments of people being like, oh, I don't really remember that thing, people turn into, oh, okay, here's more proof
Yeah.
that this person was a clone.
Him forgetting is so easy to believe too, because in the music industry or like the rock world, you're kind of drunk all the time or doing all these drugs on these music video sets. It's not hard to believe that he would forget that.
Probably not the first or last thing he's filmed on the beach either.
Yeah.
Next up, we hear from someone who knows how cloning actually works. My interview with Biosciences expert Professor Henry Greely after the break. All right, we are back. We're here with Chelsey talking about clones, celebrity clones, and all the theories surrounding them. I want to find out, does cloning actually happen and how? And then try to find out if humans could be cloned and why or why not. So I spoke to Dr. Henry Greely.
I'm a law professor at Stanford where I work on ethical, legal, and social issues in the biosciences. I'm the director of Stanford Center for Law and the Biosciences and a professor by courtesy of genetics.
So we all know about Dolly the sheep in the late 90s.
Yes.
Her name is Dolly. 7 months old, she may not be the monster imagined in a science fiction fantasy, yet the cuddly Finn Dorset lamb may represent a major landmark in the history of genetic engineering. On an ordinary farm in Scotland, scientists say a clone was created from a single cell taken from the udder of a sheep. The embryo was then implanted in a surrogate, making an exact genetic copy of its so-called mother. Scientists hail it as a triumph for research in aging, medicine, and genetics.
So Dolly was really important because before this, people didn't really think you could clone mammals. Frogs and other animals had been cloned before. And like people had tried with mice and rats and it never worked. And people weren't sure exactly why, but certainly something like a sheep has never happened before. There was a, major reaction to Dolly, not just excitement and like, wow, but, ethical concerns and like, what does this mean for humanity?
The reaction to Dolly was startling. It was worldwide hysteria. We went from one cloned lamb to armies of cloned warrior slaves in headlines. I think part of the hysteria was, even though we should have known that this could happen, nobody had been paying attention. So the result of the hysteria was a bunch of laws around the world saying human cloning is illegal. California actually passed one of the first of those, although it made a nice distinction that later became pretty important in the U.S. controversially, the distinction between reproductive cloning, cloning a human to make another baby, and research cloning or therapeutic cloning, cloning a human in order to make an embryo where you could take some cells from that embryo to use to treat the person who you had cloned. Because that way, if the cells have the same DNA as the person you cloned, that person's immune system won't attack them. It'll think accurately that it's the same person. It kicked off a 6 to 10 year fight about embryo research, cloning embryos, and much of the cloning came down to, everybody agreed you shouldn't clone babies. Some thought it was just wrong, and others thought it's too dangerous. But there was a disagreement about whether you should be able to clone embryos.
So that's kind of the immediate aftermath of Dolly is, okay, what is this going to mean for us? Like, are we just going to make a bunch of humans? Is this just how the world is going to be, like overrun with clones? We get into a little bit more of the ethical concerns of playing God in this way. But even there, he touched on kind of the actual therapeutic uses of cloning.
Yeah.
So anyway, we can get a little bit more into that and kind of the actual uses of quote-unquote cloning. But these laws didn't scare everyone off. Some people went for it.
After Dolly's birth is announced, it's front page headlines all over the world. Lots of different cries of outrage and legislation, but there were also there was a countercurrent. There were people who said, I'm going to clone myself, or I want to make a clone. One of them, particularly noteworthy, was a physicist named Richard Seed, S-E-E-D. I mean, sometimes fact is stranger than fiction. A guy named Seed who wants to clone himself. He strongly resembled Doc Brown from the Back to the Future franchise, and he looked like a mad scientist. And he went on TV, and his brother ran an IVF clinic, so he was going to clone himself. There were 2 OBGYNs, one from Kentucky and one from, I believe, Greece, who also announced that they were going to do human cloning, and they actually claimed to have gotten a pregnancy started, although no one actually knows whether that was true or not. But the most interesting would-be cloners was a religious cult, I think I can call them a cult, that's still around, called the Raelians, R-A-E-L-I-A-N-S. There was a French race car driver who was visited by aliens in a spaceship.
Claude, you best tell us yourself, really, what your experience was with aliens and so forth.
Yes, I was journalist in the center of France in 1973, and I was contacted by people coming from outer space, and these people are very special. They contact me. They came in a volcano with the name you give is UFO, yeah. But it was not exactly UFO. And a man went out of this flying saucer, and he spoke to me.
Who told him that they had seeded life on Earth millions of years before, and they had seeded humans, and they were our parents, our gods, and he should form a group that would acknowledge them and pass along their truths. And by the way, his new name was Rael. He apparently was a charismatic race car driver, and as is I think the case with many of these particularly unusual religious sects, he seems to have had a strong degree of sexual magnetism, because his sect seemed to be made up mainly of attractive young women.
Interesting.
But it was a flying saucer cult. They believed that there were these aliens who had started us, and the aliens wanted things for us to do. This had started, I think, in the 70s, years before Dolly. But once Dolly comes out, Rael says, oh, by the way, the aliens told me that it was our duty as Raelians to clone humans, because that's the next step in human evolution. So we're cloning humans, and here, by the way, is my very attractive young female head cloner, Brigitte de Boisonget, who is a biochemist, which has very little to do with the science behind cloning, but they set up a cloning lab, which was Brigitte, in West Virginia. And they said their goal was to clone people. FDA then got involved and said, no, you need our permission to do that. So they said, well, we don't want to ask your permission. And they moved their lab to the Bahamas.
They got to work, and in late 2002, Brigitte held a press conference to make this announcement.
I'm very, very pleased to announce that the first baby clone is born.
Her name was Eve, but they weren't going to disclose any more information in order to protect her privacy.
Of course.
But I don't think anybody outside the Raelians believes it. Eve has never appeared. There's never been any proof that she exists or that she's a clone.
Wow. Yeah, so I thought this was a pretty interesting group.
That's so amazing.
Yeah.
They sound like almost like the Heaven's Gate cult, where the aliens are giving them instructions that they need to do, and then at the end of those instructions, they're supposed to commit suicide.
And go away on the spaceship.
But the Raelians are still around, it sounds like.
Yeah, and I'd heard about them in some passing capacity before this. I didn't realize though that they had existed way before the clones, and then I like that. Their leader was like, read the news and was like, "Oh yeah, this is us actually." Yeah, and like
just gonna fold
grabbed onto that. Yeah, it's pretty smart,
Yeah, gotta stay in the headlines.
Yeah, exactly. And there's more examples of people trying in different levels of kind of seriousness. There was a South Korean scientist who claimed to have succeeded and like was really revered in Korea, and they made postage stamps with his face on it and stuff, and then he was debunked as a fraud. But that person does have a successful pet cloning business today. So pet cloning we know does happen. Barbara Streisand, I think Tom Brady recently.
Yes, Tom Brady came out recently.
Announced this.
Tom Brady's adorable pup, Junie, is a social media star. But if she looks familiar, it's definitely not a coincidence. The dog is actually a clone of Brady's previous pit bull mix, Lua, who died in 2023. The NFL legend revealing his new dog's background this week, writing, "In a few short months, Colossal gave my family a second chance with a clone of our beloved dog. Brady, an investor in the biotech company Colossal Biosciences."
Yeah, and then and then I talked to Dr. Greely about all this stuff too. But you see all these stories about cloning mammoths or the dire wolves.
Yes.
Yes.
The issue, and this kind of speaks to the ethics especially when we're talking about humans, is it's very mysterious and there's a lot of loss when you're doing these. So a lot of dogs are dying when they're cloning these pets. So it's like because there's kind of these source dogs that they're using, and it's kind of they're unclear about the numbers, but when you look into it, there's a really good New Yorker article that I'll link to as well, where it's like they're talking about it, and it's like they're very vague about it because it's probably like 30 dogs dying to make your one clone that lives. It's pretty pretty
these
sad.
pet cloning businesses, is it the same kind of cloning as Dolly?
I think it's a pretty similar process. Where it's basically you have kind of these cell lines that you can keep alive for generations, and then you kind of grab from that and then mix it with new ones. And I mean, the Ray aliens, fascinating, and it's interesting. There's always going to be some people who, whenever some big thing happens, is going to be like, all right, we're going to do this, but in a bigger, more more important way. So let's see. In 2013, someone was able to clone human embryos, but as Dr. Greely explained to me, other developments like different stem cell research and fibroblasts for these therapeutic uses, that kind of took the pressure off the cloning question. So the science world at large kind of focused on this kind of research because it's not as clouded with like, okay, you're trying to make a whole different race of people or like, it's like, okay, we're doing this purely for, these purposes of, more medicinal sorts of things.
Embryonic cloning is essentially making a twin, right?
Yeah. Hank explained like we are all clones essentially as far as the process. So it's a matter of just doing it kind of out of exactly. And then like identical twins are naturally clones. Yeah. Because it's just a matter of the cell splitting at the right time, and then it just two humans developing at the same time. That's basically the process that these people have been trying to just do,
artificially.
Exactly.
So I see. So that makes a lot more sense. It's like cloning at the conception stage versus what a lot of these conspiracy theories are, which is that today you could clone me and then like I would grow at an accelerated rate in a tank or something and then come out like 2 weeks later.
Well, yeah, because again, and I mentioned this before, but yeah, I was like, well, the problem with cloning, if you were trying to swap the person, would be you'd need to do it when they're born and have a backup. Because I was like, okay, well, Paul McCartney or something, well, there's some level of, musical talent or something that is probably genetic. Yeah. But a lot of it is probably circumstance and obviously being around the right people. So it'd be very difficult, or I wouldn't put my money on being able to remake Paul McCartney and hope that he's going to be as successful now.
It is interesting. Like William Shatner, this is so random, was like the host of a kind of an Unsolved Mysteries type show that's on Netflix now, and they did an episode about twins, and they interviewed these two twins who were separated at birth, and the like similarities between their lives were just so insanely deep. Wow. Like that they bought the same make and model car, the year of the car, that their wives had the same names. Wow. It's like, and now a lot of it probably is coincidence, but like I wonder with the Paul McCartney example, like maybe if they cloned him and he grew up in America instead, he'd still be like a #1 artist, but with an American style music or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, it's a great what if, I suppose.
I feel like when I was a kid, because when Dolly happened, I would have been like 7, 8 years old.
Mhm.
And in my mind, it was definitely like they put the sheep in the machine and then
That's
the
what I-
sheep
yeah.
came out
Yeah.
of the machine, right? Like,
Yeah.
that was the cartoon version. I feel like The Simpsons did it a bunch of times. Like
Oh, for sure.
cloned Bart, and it was just like a million clones would pop out of the
Mhm.
machine. And I
Mhm.
think I thought that that was what cloning was for a very long time. I
Yeah.
did not know. And this just makes so much sense. It's like so much less mysterious when you are talking about just the very basic science of it. It's still incredible and amazing, but it's like, okay, I get that a lot more than some kind of special plasma machine that you go
Yes.
into.
Yeah, like a
Yeah.
3D printer, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
I asked like why haven't, aside from now, obviously there's laws and all these things, but like, is there something about humans that makes it so difficult to clone us? And he said kind of how before Dolly, they were like, maybe mammals can't be cloned, just too complicated for whatever reason. We can't find the right combo. That seems to be also a lot of it with humans, where it's like, one, we don't want to necessarily go so far, so we're not going to push it, or we can't legally.
Yeah.
And also it's a matter of the cost would be so high, the cost not being money, but just like,
Yeah.
you might make a lot of really messed up people who won't survive or anything else. And that brings up a whole other host of questions, naturally.
And I feel like people are really playing with fire because a lot of times these clones turn out to be evil, as far as I've heard in popular
The
culture.
risk might not be worth it.
No.
Let me play one more clip on kind of the ethical concerns from Hank,
Sure.
and then let's wrap up and kind of talk about why we are so fascinated by this.
So the ethical concerns around human cloning really fall into probably two different buckets. One is a more absolute, something man was not intended to do. We shouldn't mess with ourselves in this way. This is not God's will. Interestingly, this is one of those areas where the political spectrum is a circle. So you've got conservatives who say it's not God's will. You've got ultra-liberals who say, well, it's not natural. It's not evolution's will, it's not Darwin's will, which shows a misunderstanding of evolution and Darwin, but it's certainly not natural, at least not in humans, not in mammals. Add to that the fact that you're manipulating human embryos, and you're going to end up killing a lot of human embryos in the research or with leftover embryos, and that is viewed by many people as murdering babies. Not by a majority of the country, but a substantial chunk of the country, and several states think that destroying embryos is murdering babies. So that's one set of concerns. And those would say, no, it's just wrong. It doesn't matter. There's no two ways about it. The other side focuses more on not is the process right or wrong, but what would the likely consequences be? So what's wrong with cloning humans? To make babies. And there, everyone still agrees it's too risky. I care about dead puppies, but I care about dead babies a lot more than I care about dead puppies. So we don't know how safe it would be with humans. How would you ever know how safe it would be with humans? You'd have to try it in humans. So safety is a big, big question. And so far, everybody thinks it's a deal killer. One can imagine a research program that would give you enough confidence that you'd say, okay, you can try this, but no one seems to be working along those lines, in part because there seems to be no really great reason to clone humans. And that's the second argument. I mean, one argument is it's unsafe. The other argument is why bother?
Yeah, there you get a taste of kind of lots of the questions milling around this, and kind of why overall it's been basically shut down as a thing.
Yeah.
All to say is, as far as we know, there have been no grown human clones to debunk,
Yeah.
You guys can calm down, Devin, I don't know if you're convinced yet, but maybe I'll hook you up with Hank and you guys can chat it out.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I would be shocked if there were human clones, but they wouldn't tell us if there were.
Well, exactly, of course. Stanford is obviously, bought off by Big Clone.
Oh, yeah.
G20.
So there hasn't, to our knowledge, been a cloned human that has then grown up. But it seems like the technology is possible. it's a thing that could happen if there were not so many hurdles or obstacles. Not that I think those hurdles or obstacles shouldn't be there, but like it seems like they could essentially do this if they wanted to. They being like the world's leading scientists.
Yeah, I don't think it's something that's impossible. Just like the same way they thought maybe the sheep couldn't be cloned and then was. It's a matter of a lot of trial. But yeah, it seems like that same process, I think, in theory, would work for humans.
So then, for the conspiracy theorists who believe this stuff, that's an easy leap to make. It's like, okay, someone is cloning somewhere, and it's just a secret. Originally, at the beginning of this episode, I thought it wasn't even possible to do it for humans. So I could see kind of where the conspiracy theorists are coming from. Of course, I don't agree or believe that, but yeah, the technology, it kind of makes sense.
We're going to take one more quick break, and when we're back, we're going to discuss why we're so attracted to these clone theories.
Doing all this and thinking about it in both the kind of moral red lines and otherwise, you wonder kind of why these are such reoccurring tropes. We're talking about much more recent history, 2016 as a kind of peak, but also obviously you go back, 50 years more, and people are talking about this, and it's kind of a recurring thing, and I wonder why that is. Do you guys have any theories on kind of what draws us to this idea?
I would think that one thing, at least, would be, like, for example, I remember when people were saying Kanye West was cloned, and that was in 2023, and it does feel like this like cope kind of thing where it's like, okay, he did a bunch of shit that I didn't think he would do, and so what's an easy explanation? He's the evil clone of himself. And so I think that there's this very easy way to, whether it be like a doppelganger or it be even a reptilian, but like this body swap idea where you can just say, if someone I like is doing something I don't like, or even if someone I don't like is doing something good, well, that's actually still evil because they have these evil intentions. So it's like this really easy way to like morph the person who is in your crosshairs for whatever reason into either being good or bad based on what you want.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of just like being possessed by the devil or some demon or something, really. Totally. I mean, in just a religious sense of like, you're doing this wrong because you're being tempted by something else. And essentially that's what the clone is doing, or whoever is making the clone and swapping out these people or that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I would also say that, like many other conspiracy theories, I feel like so many of them are rooted in just a massive kind of distrust for governments or institutions, and then it just becomes so easy for you to believe that some incredibly nefarious stuff is going on if you already don't trust those kind of organizations, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it brings some, I would say, order. Like, it's like, people are complex. Like, Chelsea's talking about the Kanye example. I saw the opposite of like, now that Kanye's going on this, Jewish apology tour where he's like a little bit more chill, and now people are saying, "Oh, now this is actually the clone."
Yeah,
right?
the real one wouldn't never bow down
sit
like
down
this.
and do this and go back on their words.
And you can choose which one of those two.
Right,
you want.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is a nice.
It
little
works
kind of
for
Rorschach
everyone, and it gives order to a thing that's like
Yeah.
kind of confusing, doesn't really make sense. You don't have a lot of context for, right? These people aren't spending time with Kanye. They aren't spending time with these politicians. They don't understand why horrible things are happening in the world, and it's easy to be like, oh, it's clones. It's clones. These people are evil. This is all a conspiracy. It seems like there was no order to it, and it seems like the world is just so unpredictable. But behind the scenes, there's so much order to it, and like the world is predestined to be this way because these people are pulling the puppet strings behind, closed doors.
I mean, it really is just the perfect example of like every conspiracy theory of things are not what they seem.
Yes.
Right? It's just like a perfect one-to-one of the heart of conspiracy theory. And I think that's why it endures too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm sure this is gonna, it will endure. And I'm sure in 30 years, people will be sitting around podcasting about, the next round of clones will be replaced probably soon.
Oh yeah, our clones.
If we do a little, if our podcast gets a little more popular, they're changing us out.
Yep,
Big time.
Kaleidoscope. fires us, but they've been growing clones the whole time.
Would we know we were the clones?
That's a great question.
We have to give like a code word or some sort of
Yeah.
signal that if you ask us this and we don't respond in the right way, that's how you know it's the clone.
It's that thing where, the person's like pointing the gun or the laser and being like, who is it? Which one?
Yeah.
Like, is it this one or this one?
Right.
Who do I shoot? Say the right thing. Say the secret thing.
Because in modern day cloning capabilities, the clone would not have the memories of the original.
No.
Right?
No.
That's the issue.
Yep,
They have to study up.
Yeah.
They're going to be listening to all these podcasts.
Yeah.
Like, all right, this is his stance on this.
Yeah.
Just like Eminem.
No such thing.
No Such Thing is a production of Kaleidoscope Content. Our executive producers are Kate Osborne and Mangesh Hattakadur. The show is created by Manny Fidel, Noah Friedman, and Devin Joseph. Theme and credits song by Manny Fidel. Mixing is by Steve Bone. Our guests this week are Chelsey Weber-Smith and Professor Henry Greely. Check out Chelsey's show, American Hysteria, wherever you get your podcasts, and on Instagram at American Hysteria Podcast. And you can visit nosuchthing.show to subscribe to our newsletter. You can see links to research and other things discussed in this episode, and more. If you have feedback for us or a question, our email is mannynoahdevin@gmail.com, and you can also leave us a voicemail by calling the number in our show notes. We'll be back next week with a new episode. Thanks.
No such thing.